Hey, it's Ariana from Scale and Simplify, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a product in Kartra. And this is basically going to allow you to create a checkout page for your course, service, or product, whatever it might be. Now, before we jump into that, I just want to share that there are a few things that you will need to do prior to coming in here and starting the product setup, because of all of the things that it asks in the configuration process. It's not mandatory. You can come in and set up parts of the product settings and then come back to it. But to make it as simple as possible and as smooth as possible for yourself, there are a few things that you want to do. I'll talk about them briefly right now, and I'll put them below the video as well, so you have a little checklist. So one thing that you want to do is here under My Pages, you want to start, you don't have to fully create, but start a sales page and a thank you page. And so your sales page is wherever you're going to be, showcasing whatever it is that you're selling. And the thank you page is going to be the confirmation page after somebody purchases. So like I said, you don't have to fully actually make them. You just have to start the page and then click to publish it, so that it is, even if it's blank, it's in there ready to go, and you can link it to the product because it will ask for it. And it doesn't mean you have to obviously share it publicly. I do have other videos that walk you through how to create pages, so you can check those out as well. But that would be sort of your first step before you get to creating the product. And then there are some other smaller things as well, such as an image, like a logo for your product that you may have on hand that you want to pull in, because it might display somewhere on checkout pages and on the confirmation email. So just keep that in mind as we go through. And like I said, there will be a little checklist below about that. Okay, so jumping in under My Products, this is the first page that you're going to land on, and we're just going to click this big green button. Okay, and we're going to give it a name and select that it is a main product. You can do upsells and downsells, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So we're just going to go main product and next. Okay, so first we have the product details, and this is basic information about your product. We can see here there are these bubbles at the top, and these are all of the different sections of the settings within a product that we're going to configure. Okay, so your internal name, this is as it sounds, it's whatever you want to call your product on the back end. Here I recommend that, if you have different versions of a similar product, this is where you would, like, in brackets, put special offer. And then you want to have your public facing name, which can be cleaner and doesn't need to have additional details if you are just, wanting to put your course name or whatever it might be. And then here in the description, this may appear in some places, so just as best practice, I recommend you put in a 1 to 2 sentence or one sentence. There's an 80 character limit, 1 sentence description of your product, just kind of the key takeaway of whatever it is that you're selling. You can keep it private. You could choose to put it in the marketplace, but if this is just, something that you're launching for yourself, I would recommend that you keep it on this one. And then here, if you click on the pencil with this little shopping cart image, it's going to open up your browser, or your documents rather, so that you can upload an image in there. And like I said, this is just one of the things that you might want to have done ahead of time. You can always come back in though and put it in here. So just a square image, and keeping in mind that it will be kind of like cropped down to a circle. So I usually just grab a square, like I do a square image in Canva, and put the program logo, for example, right centered, a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to put a description here so that it lets me save. And so we can see here, this is the basic info section of the settings, but then we have different boxes within there, right? And then each box has its own save button. So that's just something to keep in mind as to how to actually go through all of these settings. So we see here the white box. Now that we have filled everything in, the save button goes green and we can click save. And then the yellow pencil icon changes to a check mark, and that means that this is complete. Okay. The other thing you can do is if you get into this and you realize you're missing information or you need to come back at a later time to add in something, you can always click the configure later link instead of filling in the settings to save it. And so that's basically like saving a draft of your product. So I'm going to do that for this one as an example. And then the other thing to note is that your payment gateway obviously also needs to be set up before you come in here to do this. So I'm going to go configure later, and then you'll see that there's a little hourglass icon there. Okay, save and next. All right, so now we're going to do our pricing. So you can add in multiple price points and different payment plans and all of that. So I'm going to do 2 as an example. The first one is a one-time. So I'm going to say program pay in full. And I'm going to say it's $297. And then you can select which one you want to be the default price. Normally I put the pay in full option. If we're talking about a course, you have a pay in full and pay plan option. And normally I will put this one as the default price. Okay, and then we can click save at the top. Okay, so I'm just going to go back in, click change, and on the left-hand side here, I'm going to click add to add in my payment plan. And then we're going to select what type of payment plan we want or what type of payment we want. So recurring would be if, for example, it's like a subscription, an ongoing subscription that just doesn't have like an end date. Installments is if you have a pay plan, so like 4 payments of $97 for your course, or recurring installments essentially gives you some more options for an installment. So you can not only put like 4 installments monthly one time, but it can recur every year, those 4 installments of monthly payments of whatever it might be, $27. Okay, so that's just the difference between those. But installments is what, if you have a course and you're just doing like a payment plan, installments is the one that you want to use. So I'm going to put program payment plan, and I'm going to have it as a, let's say $97 times 4, and I'm going to put monthly. So 4 monthly payments of $97. And then there are other options here as well of all different types of occurrences that you can do. So here is where, if you wanted, you can also put an initial payment. So this is, for example, if you were taking a deposit for something and the deposit is $50, and then after that, a 4 installments payment plan of $97 kicks in, this is where you would do that. So I'm just going to turn it off. Default price, I'm going to keep this off because I'd like to keep the pay in full as the default. And the last thing we have here is the instant versus delayed cancellation. And so what this allows you to do is select what you want to happen as far as when you want to officially cancel somebody's subscription or installments or payment plan rather, when they cancel at some point. So for example, if I have paid 2 installments of $97 and then I just paid that recently, and now I am, in between the second and third installment, I'm 2 weeks after having paid the second installment and I cancel. Do you want the person to officially be canceled right away or at the end of that current billing cycle? So it essentially allows someone to remain in your membership and retain their access to the membership until the end of that month for which they have paid. So here you can select for it to be instant or toggle it to be delayed to the end of the billing cycle. So I'm going to go instant. Again, if we're talking about a course, in my opinion, this is what I would recommend, just because if that installment or payment plan, if they get access to the whole course, but you're giving them the benefit of having a payment plan, they technically are in breach of the payment terms, and so their access would be revoked in that case. So that's just one scenario. If you wanted, you could then just continue adding them here, and then once you are done, we're going to click save at the top. Okay, so the next section we have here is shipping costs. This is if you have a physical product, and I'm not going to go into this in this particular tutorial, so I'm just going to leave it as a digital product, assuming that you are here because you have a course. And then sales tax, if you are in a situation where you need to apply sales tax, you would go through the sales tax configuration process, where you would select your country and the percentage of tax and all of that. Again, these are details that I'm not going to cover in this particular video, so I'm going to say no sales tax. And we can dig into that another time. And then refund policy, so you can click change and set that here. It defaults to this. I'm going to say no refund. This is something that will come up in certain places. It may show on your checkout page, depending on how you set things up. And so just make sure that you select what your actual refund policy is. Otherwise, if you don't have one, and let's say you leave it at 30 days, it may at some point display to someone and then they will be confused. Okay, so I'm going to say no refund, click save. And now we've gone through all the settings in the pricing section. So I'm going to save and next at the bottom. Okay, and this is where we select the product pages. So this is why I was saying you want to have those ready, preferably up front, even if they're not actually done, but you just want to have the pages and the links ready. So if it's an external sales page that you've already built somewhere outside of Kartra, you can just put in the URL here. If it is within Kartra, you're going to switch to Kartra pages, select what site you have it organized under, and select your sales page. Save. Okay, and then thank you pages. It's going to ask you for a thank you page for each different price point that you have selected. Sometimes that might be the same page, sometimes it'll be different. So I'm just going to go through and I will select the same page for all of them. Okay, and save. And now we're done the pages section, save and next. And now we're getting into the checkout settings. So the first thing here is about the look and feel of the checkout page. I'm going to click change to show you the options here. So this, you would leave it on this setting if what you're going to do is have people, when they click on your sales page, the buy button, have them directed to like a basic checkout page that's within Kartra that is generated once you finish the product settings, then you want to leave it on here. If you want it to be a pop-up on your sales page, then you're going to select pop-up. This is kind of what it'll look like. And down here, it shows you the color that it's going to be. You can click on the eyeball to get a preview of it. And using these arrows here, you can flip through and change the look of it. And so it's just going to show you an updated preview and the color down here in this little box of, you know, what the accent color and the button color is going to be. Okay, and then if you are going to be using it on a custom page elsewhere, this is what you would select. And what this does is it'll give you different options in other places in the configuration settings. So I'm just going to stick to checkout page for now. Click save. And then here, because we have the checkout page, you can go into here and put in your logo if you wish. So I'm going to say yes to that. The other thing I will mention too is that what you can do is create a custom checkout page. So in here, this is talking about like there's a basic checkout page that it auto generates as soon as you complete the product setup process. But you can also create a custom checkout page that gives you more control and then embed this sort of checkout field or form within that page. So I will go through that in a separate tutorial, but this one is just, you know, how to have a basic checkout page and product. Okay, this, I'm not going to go into detail on this, but this is essentially where if you are using help desk, you can say yes to this piece here and have a little help desk icon show up on your checkout page. And then here is where you're going to select what forms what form fields you want on your page. So these are the default ones. You can add fields by clicking here. Select from existing fields, or you can create a custom field as well. And I'm going to leave it as it is right now. You can select product quantity if to be enabled. That will allow people to select more than one unit. I'm going to leave that as off for now. Express checkout, this often deals with if you want to have like a one-click upsell or something like that, you're able to switch this so that it kind of condenses the checkout experience and it is more of a one-click situation. So for like a regular course checkout, like a main product checkout, you probably just want to leave that at no. Cart abandonment tagging, we can talk about this in another video, but basically you can click change and here you can edit and create a tag so that when somebody visits your checkout page but then doesn't actually purchase, the system will apply a tag to them. And then you can, maybe send a follow-up email or just know how many people have bounced off of that checkout page. Checkout language, you can select different languages. I'm going to leave it on English. Terms and conditions. So this is, again, if you're doing a course, it's probably important for you to have this. So we can put yes to agree. You can select whether or not you want it to be different for different price points. You're probably going to have it the same for all price points. The terms label is limited to 55 characters, and so this is where it will, on the checkout, is like a little thing where it's kind of like here where it says I agree to the billing terms. That's where it will display this text, the label. And then you can have the billing terms, the details put in there. You can also just in here write something to the effect of, I agree to the terms and conditions outlined at the bottom of this page. And then in the footer of your checkout page, you would have a link to the full terms and conditions. So you could do it that way as well. I'm going to just say no this time. And bump offers, again, because we're doing just a basic product setup, the bump offers I'm going to leave as no, but when you would use this is if you wanted to have like it displays this way where you can just click and add something to the cart. So if you want to upsell them on something right within that checkout page, you could do that here. One thing to note is that this does not work with PayPal. And so if you are using PayPal as one or both of your payment gateway options for the product, you won't be able to use the bump offers. It won't display. Okay, save and next. And now we're going to select what happens after they purchase. So this is important. The first thing you want to do is add them to your customer list. I always recommend, if you haven't already, have a list that is called customers. And so I'm just going to select that one for both of these. And if you haven't created a list called customers yet, you can just go ahead and click on this blue link and create one here, and then it will allow you to select it after that. Okay, so I'm going to save. And then you also want to make sure that you are tagging your customers with unique tags for each of your products and for the different price points. So you want to have one for price point 1. I recommend having a category called purchases and then having separate tags for the 2 or however many price points you have so that you know for sure which thing you can search for people through using the tags. Okay, and now I'm going to do product 2. And I'm just going to select the same tag for demonstrating purposes, but you can create new tag by clicking the link here and then create your separate tags for the different price points there. Okay, save. And next we want to select what happens after they purchase. And there are a few options here. So one is Kartra membership. So if your course is inside of Kartra, you would select this and you would select the membership and the access level that they would get within that membership or course. You can also integrate it with something else. If you have integrated another system with Kartra, you can select for them to just receive a downloaded file, in which case it's going to give you the things that you have uploaded, which is all in the My Memberships area, or you can click No Access page. So another thing that I would recommend that you have before you jump into this process is if you are in fact creating a course inside of Kartra, you want to have your membership, just the bare bones set up, just so you can select it here. Otherwise, what you can do is select No Access page and then just make sure you set a reminder for yourself to come back into the product once your membership is finished so that you can link those two up. All right, save. And finally, in this section, we have advanced automations, and I'm just going to show you what some of the options are there, and you may or may not use this. So this works on an if-then basis. The if, you have 4 options: if they buy the product, if they refund it, partial refund, or cancel subscription. So I'm going to say buy. And then the reactions to that, the then, based on these contingencies, is pretty much anything that you can do in the system. You can add them to a tag, to a list. You can assign a tag to them. You can revoke access to other memberships, and all of this stuff. So this may or may not be something that you use, but it is there for you. I am going to leave it blank. Save. All right. So now the post-sale section is done. Next and last is the affiliates. This is if you are implementing an affiliate program for this given product, and this would be covered in a different tutorial where we can dig into more detail on that. So I'm just going to say save and next if you don't have an affiliate program. And then we are done. So if we click back up here on products, now that we're done, we can see it's here. And because we had some of those areas where we didn't finish the configuration, it says configuration is incomplete. Once you come back and click edit and go through all of those settings again and fill in the blanks that you skipped over, if you had any, then what's going to happen is this checkout button will become active, and so you'll be able to click on that and grab a checkout link to your basic checkout page. And like I said, we will have another tutorial that walks you through creating a custom checkout page if you choose to do that instead. The other thing that I want to note is there is a test order option, and so once the product is live, you can also toggle to have it live or in test mode. And so what I always recommend is toggling it to test mode, and then you will be able to process a test order just to make sure that everything works properly. The way that I do that is I toggle it to off or to test mode, and then go through the actual full sales process that your customer would go through. And that means starting with your sales page. So as soon as this is set to test mode, you can then, in like a separate browser tab, go to the sales page, click the button, and go through the whole process so that you see what the customer would see. And I say that rather than clicking on the checkout link here while in test mode. All right, so that is it for this video. If you are launching anything, whether that be a course, a freebie, webinar, anything that you want people to sign up for, be sure to check out the link below. I have some awesome freebie for you that you can utilize to make that a smoother, simpler process for yourself. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, click like below and subscribe to our channel for more tips on scaling and simplifying your online business. If you know someone else who would benefit from this video or similar ones, share it with them as well. Thanks for watching!